On February 5, 2021, a group of three mountaineers, Ali Sadpara, Snorri, and JP Mohr decided to climb the dangerous K2 in winter, the second highest and most dangerous mountain in the world. Before them, only one team had managed to complete a winter ascent of K2, but after a tragic turn of events, they were trapped in the frozen hell of K2 with no way to escape. This is the story of their ordeal on K2 and how it changed the lives of their families forever. Muhammad Ali Sadpara was born on February 2, 1976, in a small village called Sadpara near Skardu in the Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan. From a young age, he showed extraordinary abilities and had the physique and habits of an athlete. Sadpara began his career as a high-altitude porter serving as an assistant in mountain climbing expeditions. He quickly became an instant success with tour operators because the expeditions he led were mostly successful. In 2016, he earned worldwide fame when he was part of a three-man team that became the first to summit Nanga Parbat in winter. During his career, Sadpara successfully climbed a total of 8,000ers. He was known for his passion for climbing and his unparalleled successes in climbing 8,000+ meter peaks in harsh weather. On this K2 expedition, he was accompanied by three other climbers, including his son Sajid Sadpara. Sajid Sadpara is a Pakistani mountaineer who has made remarkable achievements in the world of climbing. He is the youngest person to have climbed K2, the second highest mountain in the world, in 2019 at the age of 20. In addition, he is the first person to have climbed all 5 8,000-meter peaks in Pakistan, including Nanga Parbat, Gasherbrum 1, Gasherbrum 2, and Broad Peak. Mountaineering is in his genes. He comes from a family of climbers. Climbing K2 in winter has always been one of his biggest dreams. Their companion and leader of the team, Snorri Sigurjonsson, was an Icelandic mountaineer trying to become the first Icelander in history to climb K2 in winter. Previously, he had reached the summit of K2, becoming the first Icelander to conquer this impressive peak. He received national recognition after climbing K2 and Broad Peak in 1 year. The fourth climber on the team, Juan Pablo Mohr Prieto, was a Chilean architect and mountaineer. He was the first Chilean mountaineer to make a serious attempt to climb all 14 8,000-meter peaks without oxygen and Sherpa support. Mohr climbed Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Lhotse, Everest, and Makalu in his style. His ascent of K2 was a tribute to his fallen friend, whose life was claimed by the K2 a few weeks earlier. In early 2021, these four climbers decided to put their names in the history books by doing the seemingly impossible, climbing K2 in winter. The four experienced climbers began their winter ascent on February 5, 2021. The team was well prepared for the winter ascent. They had to face extreme weather conditions, including temperatures that could drop to -60°C and winds that could rage at more than 200 kilometers per hour. K2 is a mountain of unparalleled challenge and danger. It does not offer the same predictability and stability as Everest, but rather surprises climbers with sudden storms and avalanches. Its triangular shape exposes it to fierce winds from all sides, leaving no place to hide or rest. Its steepness forces climbers to face rock, ice, and snow at angles that defy gravity. The altitude deprives climbers of oxygen, so they may experience physical and mental stress, hypoxia, frostbite, and exhaustion. The peak season for the K2 is very limited, only a few days in late July or early August, when the weather is somewhat calm. Even then, climbers must endure freezing temperatures and strong winds. Climbing K2 in winter is considered an almost impossible feat. Only one team of 10 Nepalese Sherpas have ever accomplished it. The winter ascent of K2 is the ultimate climbing challenge, mainly because of the extreme weather conditions, technical terrain, and high altitude climbers must overcome. Winter on K2 means temperatures as low as -50°C, hurricane-force winds, frequent avalanches and icefall, and very short summits. The mountain itself is very steep and exposed, with no easy route to the summit. The team knew all of these dangers, but their courage knew no bounds. During their ascent, they had to carry heavy loads of equipment and supplies, including oxygen tanks, food, and fuel. The team members had to get used to the high altitude and low oxygen concentrations. They spent several weeks at base camp and gradually moved to higher camps. The veteran team persevered and withstood almost all the obstacles between them and the summit. They faced no major dangers during the climb to the summit, at least until luck let them down. They were very close to their destination when something unexpected happened. Sajid Sadpara, Ali Sadpara's son, began to feel dizzy and lightheaded. When he checked his equipment, his oxygen regulator turned out to be faulty. He realized he had to turn back even though he was so close to the top. With a heavy heart, he watched as his father and the other 3 climbers continued their climb. They braved the bitter cold of -40°C and the treacherous terrain of the bottleneck. Little did he know at that moment that he would see his father and the other climbers alive for the last time. Sajid returned to Camp 3. His fellow climbers moved on. They were a determined group. His father, Ali Sadpara, an experienced mountaineer who had climbed 8 of 14 8,000-meter peaks, John Snorri, an Icelandic adventurer who had survived an avalanche on Everest, Juan Pablo Mohr, a Chilean philanthropist who climbed without oxygen in honor of his friend Sergi Mignotte, who had died on K2 a few weeks earlier. They were the only ones left. Visibility to the top was limited, and this eventually led to a terrible tragedy. As they neared the summit, they lost contact with Sajid and their base camp. Sajid waited for them at Camp 3 for 2 days before descending alone. By this time, he had no idea what had happened, but his sixth sense was telling him that something terrible had transpired. Soon after, rescue operations began. The Pakistani authorities sent a helicopter to search for the lost team, but to no avail. Sajid Sadpara's cousin, local climbers, and Sajid himself all searched for the team, but they returned empty-handed. After weeks of intense search in the most horrid of weather, John Snorri, along with Ali Sadpara and JP Mohr, were declared deceased. When a climber dies on a mountain, he leaves behind more than just his body. He leaves behind questions that may never be answered. The tragic fate of 3 mountaineers who disappeared on K2 in February 2021 was revealed months later by a Ukrainian guide. Valentin Sipavin was part of an expedition that attempted to climb the second highest mountain in the world in the summer. On July 26th, he reached Camp 4 and spotted 2 black dots near the summit. He decided to investigate and found the bodies of Ali Sadpara from Pakistan and John Snorri from Iceland. As soon as he found the bodies, he alerted the local authorities, including Ali's son, Sajid Sadpara. Experts found that the unfortunate team had died while descending from the top of K2, at the dangerous bottleneck, trapped by a fixed rope that they could not detach. Sipavin also discovered a yellow piece of cloth buried in the snow. It belonged to Juan Pablo Mohr from Chile, another victim of the harsh winter conditions on K2. Sipavin analyzed the position and equipment of the Chilean and concluded that he had made a fatal mistake. Instead of ascending to the snow anchor at around 7,800 meters, where he could have secured himself with an ascending device, he stayed lower and waited for Ali Sadpara and John Snorri. The harsh conditions and long distance from Camp 3, where they had begun their attempt to reach the summit, took their toll. Mohr succumbed to hypothermia. Sipavin also noted that there was no tent present at Camp 4, which could have provided some shelter for the descending climbers. He stated that there was no evidence of falls or accidents, but that K2 claimed the lives of 3 brave men who dared to climb the winter summit. Full details about the accident can be seen in the documentary film Winter Summit. The documentary follows Sajid Sadpara, the son of one of the missing climbers, and Delia Sekali, a Canadian filmmaker who was part of the original team. In July 2021, they returned to K2 to search for clues and answers about what had happened to their friends and family. The documentary captured the emotional moments when Sajid and Elia found the bodies of Sajid's father, Ali Sadpara, and John Snorri. They also discovered a GoPro camera that belonged to Snorri, hoping it would provide some evidence of their attempted summit climb. However, they were disappointed to find that only one image was intact on the device. This showed a pair of legs in a yellow and black suit similar to those of Snorri and Juan Pablo Mohr, the Chilean climber who also disappeared on K2. Although all 3 bodies were found, only Ali Sadpara's body was retrieved from the mountain. His son Sajid managed to retrieve his body from the snowy terrain of the K2 and buried it. The bodies of Snorri and Mohr remain on the mountain to this day. There was not enough manpower and resources to remove their bodies from the K2 as well. This sad accident shows that mountaineering is not only a sport, but also a passion and a way of life for some people. The three climbers had dedicated their lives to pursuing their dreams of scaling the highest peaks in the world. They knew the dangers involved, but also felt a deep connection with nature and adventure. Their courage and determination inspire us to follow our own passions and goals. Thanks for watching this story. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on your notification bell to stay updated on more similar videos. We would love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share your comments below. Until next time.